Planning a bathroom is one of the toughest challenges you'll face in any property, and I have to confess that even as an interior designer, I can find them nail-biting at times. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to plan your layout and make your bathroom the envy of all your friends and family. Let's go. Now let's be honest, the bathroom is one of the most popular rooms in the house, but when it comes to refurbishing them and planning the layout, the truth is they're really hard. In fact, they're so hard that my first project nearly reduced me to tears. It was that stressful. And this challenge might be why you're watching this video now, but don't fret. Since those early days and tons of learning under my belt, I've helped hundreds of people figure out what they want, what they need, and what they can afford in their bathrooms, and then deliver the right layout that gets the best balance between those things. One thing I know for sure is that over all of these renovations, the same thing has been true. Getting a bathroom layout right is actually really tough, and I'd even say that it's one of the toughest projects when you're refurbishing any property. Balancing the size of the space with what you need and your budget is a real headache. Stick around until the end of this video because I want to talk to you about one of the pitfalls that we've seen some renovators fall into, and it's one I think you'll need to avoid. So first, you've got to look at your budget. Your bathroom renovation is probably going to fall into one of these three categories, and the budgets for these differ wildly. So let's have a look at those three main options for a bathroom renovation to see which yours falls into. Option one is just a swap out of your existing sanitary ware and probably a lick of paint here and there. This is obviously the most affordable option when you're keeping all of the layout the same, focusing on aesthetic improvements only and not moving any plumbing around. It'll be the quickest and the most painless route to go down, but it might mean that you aren't maximising the benefits that the space could offer if your budget was bigger. Option two is a light bathroom remodel. If the current layout just isn't working for you, then a light remodel might be the best option. You'll want to improve the flow of the space and add in some extra features like maybe a double sink or a separate bath and shower. Obviously that all comes at a greater cost than option one, but will ensure that the potential of the space is definitely being realised. Option three is a complete overhaul. Changing the whole bathroom might feel pretty drastic, but sometimes it's what the house as a whole really requires. You might consider moving your bathroom elsewhere in the property, or maybe changing it into a wet room, which will be a much bigger project and the cost is going to reflect that. So figuring out how much you can afford at this start of your renovation is essential. You don't want to fall into that trap of thinking that you can afford the complete overhaul, get halfway through your demolition and then suddenly realise your budget will only really stretch to option one. And if you need any help with your budgeting and want to learn ways that I suggest you make some cost savings on your full renovation, then our online course, How to Renovate a House, has an in-depth budgeting module you should check out. I'll leave the link in the description box for you. So you've got a rough idea of the size and scale of your project, and now it's time to figure out what the necessities are and what the nice to haves. And I've seen the impact that defining these wants and needs has on hundreds of our renovation students. And it was really important for us too in this renovation when we first arrived. The bathroom was split into two rooms, an ugly avocado toilet in one room that I still have nightmares about, and a retro shell sink and bath that sat in the adjacent room. Neil and I listed out our wants and needs, and we realised that whilst we wanted a double sink unit, I'd even found the most perfect one. What we needed was more storage in the bathroom, and it was a compromise, but it was one I'm so glad that we ended up making. And hopefully that example shows how important it is to get this stuff defined at the early stages of your project. You want to ensure all of your hard work of the renovation means you're getting exactly what you need from the space in the long term. Next, you need to figure out your floors and wall plans. This stage is often overlooked when you just start planning, but if you don't get it right now, it can be a real headache further down the line. It can cause major compromises with the final design as well. You need to know exactly where your pipework will all sit. So as a start, assess the type of floor that your bathroom is built on. Our property is a typical 1930s with timber joists and pine floorboards, which meant that it's really easy peasy for contractors to reroute pipework underneath the voids. And if you're working with a newer property, then you might be up against concrete floors, and that's when chasing pipes in underneath the floor is going to be more costly and a little bit of a nightmare. It's not undoable though, and that's why figuring out where your pipework will all sit how it's going to be routed around the room, and brainstorming how to hide the pipework with the use of stud walls, for example, is essential at this stage. On the topic of walls, it's really useful when you're planning a bathroom to understand what type of fixtures and fittings you want early on. Unlike other rooms in the house, these detailed design requirements are actually essential to understand now because they can drastically alter how spacious the room feels once the work's complete. So let me give you an example here. Say wall-mounted taps. They're one of the most coveted details in a bathroom. They're really easy to clean and they just look so stylish. And what you'll notice when you compare an ordinary sink-mounted tap with wall-mounted taps is that the sink-mounted taps have pipework running directly underneath them and perfect if you're trying to conserve space. But wall-mounted taps need the entire pipework concealed behind a stud wall, often creating a nice shelf system to pop your toothbrush or your plants. Deciding which is the best option for you is a matter of knowing your measurements in the room. Stud walls like this can project 15 centimetres, sometimes 30 centimetres into the room. So you need to know whether this will still leave enough space to hop in and out of the shower or the bath and move around the room. Not all of us are blessed with big bathrooms in the UK. The average size bathroom is a tiny 2.3 by 2.7 metres, so you really need to be diligent about how you use every single centimetre in the layout. Some design techniques I try to bring into the design of smaller bathrooms are things like wall-mounted vanity units, which will bring immense storage potential and leave more floor space exposed underneath to give the illusion of a bigger bathroom. They're also insanely easier to mop under. And the same goes for toilets. Fit a wall-hung toilet that doesn't sit on the ground and the room will look larger and be easier to clean. Just make sure there's plenty of space in your floor plan for a concealed cistern that's straightforward enough for your plumber to access in case of any issues later. Bathrooms are hard, even for experienced interior designers, to get right, and if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed about what pipes need boxing in and how to achieve it, then speak with an experienced plumber or heating engineer or even a general contractor about your specific situation. All homes are so different and bespoke advice is always great to hear, right? So now you know how much you're happy to spend and how complex your project will be, and you have a clearer picture of what you want and what you need in your space. The temptation now for a lot of people is to use one of the online layout tools to figure out how it should all fit together. But hold on, I see it happen time and time again where renovators try and stuff all sorts of sanitary ware into their space. It just ends up looking cramped with no space to get dressed or step in and out of the bath or shower. Sometimes even the shower doors can swing the wrong way or clash into other pieces, which is a real no-no. As I always suggest to students that I work with in my Home Design Lab online course and How to Renovate a House, start by getting your ideas down on paper first. This is going to be way more useful, faster and less stressful than jumping in headfirst into an online layout tool. It's very useful to know how to draw to scale in this scenario, so that's something I teach students who join me on any of my online courses, as you learn how to really quickly exhaust layout options on paper, keeping your ideas realistic and still creative. Only when you're getting close to a layout that answers your wants, needs and budgets for the room should you start going down that route of an online layout tool. The next thing I want to advise you on is doing your bathroom project at the right time. Remember when I said bathroom renovations are hard? Well, hopefully these tips so far will make it all that little bit easier, but even so, if this is your first time renovating, then my advice is to start with an easier space like a living room or bedroom first. Get some experience under your belt and then move on to the more complex rooms like a bathroom or kitchen. You'll be really grateful of the warm-up. That being said, make sure you plan your renovation holistically. Even if you choose to renovate your bathroom later in the project, you'll want to understand the whole layout first to ensure your entire house has a good sense of flow and that the design is cohesive to the rest of your property. The final tip I want to share is something that I've seen happen time and time again with renovators, and it only really ends up in confusion and frustration, and that is Pinterest. Don't get me wrong, Pinterest is great and can be really useful at certain moments of your renovation project, but there is a lot of work to do up front first if you want to make your bathroom work for you. And with so much choice and so many options, Pinterest can actually end up really overwhelming you and lead to confusion about what you want to do and a lot of stress. There is a time and a place for Pinterest, like when you know the style you want and you search things like small modern country bathroom or modern loft ensuite. Just try to steer clear of those blanket terms like bathroom ideas, which will cause magpie tendencies, at least until you understand what your wants, needs and budgets are for the space that you're trying to transform. So what should you do next, and where do you start? If you're enjoying my interior design and layout advice, and you're keen to get my help to make the most of your bathroom, and the rest of your home in fact, then take a look at my free guides and online design courses in the description box below. I would love to help you figure it all out. No matter what the size, shape or the budget that you're working with, we can create your dream home together. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you get a minute, it would be amazing if you could let me know in the comments, what other videos would you like to see on this channel? It takes us such a crazy long time to make these videos for you, and I really want to make sure that I'm sharing advice on the areas that will help you get the home of your dreams. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next one.